Climate change not only endangers our planet, but also our own survival. Today, climate change is a present-day threat that is having a greater impact on our lives than we can well understand. The effects of climate change are visible all around us, including extreme weather, rising sea levels, and melting glaciers. Today, I'm going to be persuading you to not ignore the signs and dangers of climate change, but to take actions to prevent further damage to our Earth's health, and this is based off of the experience and research I have done. In persuading my audience not to ignore the signs and dangers of climate change, I'll discuss the following: the problem that climate change is causing, the causes of climate change, and finally the steps that we can take to combat climate change. First, the problems caused by climate change include rising sea levels, air pollution, disease, and melting glaciers. According to the article titled US EPA Climate Impacts on Society, Climate Change Impacts US EPA from May 2023, climate change is projected to increase the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events such as heat waves, droughts, and floods. These changes are likely to increase losses to property and crops and cause costly disruptions to society, escalating losses that have already affected the availability and affordability of insurance of already vulnerable areas. As we note, climate change can cause a multitude of problems for not only the earth, animals, and ecosystems, but us as humans as well. As climate change increases the possibility for storms and other natural disasters, we note that there's also an increase of the cost of damages that coincide. Another article by National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration notes the rise in global temperatures that have caused sea levels to rise, which has made glaciers melt and shrink about 60 feet in the past 40 years. There's also increased carbon dioxide and other greenhouse emissions in our atmosphere, and this has damaged our agricultural yield and has made water become either way too scarce and cause droughts in some areas, or too abundant and cause floods in other areas around the world. So now that I've discussed the problems that climate change causes, I'm going to discuss the reasons and finally how to combat it effectively. Second, the causes of climate change. According to the Environmental Protection Agency from May 2023 EPA, it notes that Industrial Revolution has greatly attributed to why there are so many carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases emitted into the air and our atmosphere. The article notes that gases such as methane and nitrous oxide concentrations have grown more abundant, and this has caused our climate to change and our climate to grow more unpredictable. Another article by the following people from December 18th, Cho, Holst, Georgios, Kernan, and a few others, notes that overconsumption contributes to about 60% of emissions. And with that being said, wealthier countries have a higher impact on the Earth's emissions just because there's more money to spend on unnecessary things. Having learned the problems that climate change has caused, it's important to learn how to combat climate change effectively. So finally, I'm going to talk about how to help combat climate change. To begin, there's an article by the United Nations that is called Start with These 10 Actions, United Nations. It lists 10 ideas that you can do to improve your global emissions and carbon footprint as an individual, and I listed a few that are very simple and I feel easy habits to incorporate in your life. These include recycling renewable energy such as solar panels, wasting less food, and talking about it with people around you just to get that idea of being more conscious about our actions as individuals. Another article source known as Guardian News and Media from July 10, 2017 also lists a very interesting statistic that 71% of global emissions are due to just 100 companies. And with this idea being said, our habits that we can fix individually may not contribute a whole lot compared to how much is being emitted by these companies. But since fossil fuel companies are responsible for most of the global emissions, it is very interesting information to know and push you to use renewable energy and our government to also support that, and hope that we can work together and lower our global emissions. So, today my purpose was to persuade you that climate change is a growing problem. In doing so, I discussed the problem, cause, and solution to showing how climate change is an issue, but it can be combated and prevented even if it's a little bit. I hope that you will take climate change more seriously after listening to this and try to combat it more effectively, even with small changes in your daily life. You don't have to start with anything drastic, but little things can help. The steps I provided should show you the potential of greater danger that climate change can have on our Earth, and I hope that the solutions I provided will help you change our world for the better. The steps that I gave you show the real dangers, in my opinion, and the problem that climate change is causing for our world, not only for the ecosystems, the animals, but us as people. And the solutions I gave will give you better habits if you decide to use them. And I hope that you do that and contribute to helping our Earth be more healthy. Thank you for listening.